Greetings, terrestrials! Today is March 11th, 2021, and these are some strange times indeed. You're watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. I, of course, am your host, Cliff McCallister, the czar of the bizarre. Every week on this show, we take your calls to hear about your experiences with the strange, with the unexplained. If you are an eyewitness to the unexplained, call into our program. Share with us your experiences with extraterrestrials, cryptids, ghosts, spirits, interdimensional beings, whatever bizarre thing that you can't explain. Even if you don't know what it is at all, call in, share it with us right here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. This is a public service. We offer it out to the world every Thursday at 9 o'clock. Join us and share your stories of the bizarre. Tune in and hear stories of the bizarre. Find out that the world is a little bit stranger than we expect it to be. Let's get into our top stories. Strange things are happening out there, folks. Strange things are going on in our universe and even more directly on our planet. Let's roll this footage, Stephen, from Wichita, Kansas. This is a UFO sighting from Wichita. I want to show this off to you, folks. This has been making the rounds this past week. Now, this is footage of a man driving, and you can kind of see it there, right there. Thank you for the circle, Stephen. You can see it behind there. This large floating white object sighted in the skies over Wichita. Multiple people saw this. This was a big happening. Nobody was quite sure what it was. It made the local news. I mean, that's how we at Strange Times Indeed acquired the clip to begin with. For the local station out there. Now, supposedly, the folks at NASA are saying that this could be a super guppy, a large cargo ship, a large cargo plane that they have that they can fly to transport their big space age technology. And it's a big metallic plane. But I don't think that's quite what it is. I've got reason to think, as we are getting this close to disclosure, NASA's trying not to blow the lid off of things before we're ready. So, it's probably just one of our cargo planes out there in space. Awfully convenient for something mistaken for a UFO to turn out to be actual NASA property, but not a spaceship? I think not. I think something's a little fishy there with their denial. And folks who witnessed this, said it was a long cylindrical light in the sky, and that it was definitely not an airplane. They could tell from looking at it. And this thing, a cargo plane, though bigger than a normal cargo plane, would still look like a cargo plane in the sky. What was sighted over Wichita, Kansas? If you witnessed this phenomenon, please call into our show and share your stories with us. I'm seeing Mylar Balloon in the chat. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far, buddy. Something awfully fishy to me. Anytime it's a classic Mylar balloon. We've got skies full of Mylar balloons out there. You best start believing in a higher power than Mylar balloons, my friends, because there are strange things happening that cannot be explained. And they are no mere Mylar balloons. These are powerful ships, perhaps carrying powerful species. Well, just coming news out of space itself. This past week, March 7th, a meteor exploded over Vermont, with an explosion in the town the size of 44 pounds of TNT exploding. This thing rattled houses. So who do we turn to when something this powerful explodes in the sky? Explodes out of the sky, shaking the foundations of our very homes? Well, if it's coming from outer space, we get in touch with NASA. And you know what NASA calls it? They refer to it as a nice little firecracker, courtesy of Mother Nature. Now, what on earth is that? Hippy-dippy nonsense. Pardon my... No need to judge the hippies out there, but to refer to a meteor exploding and shaking houses in the Vermont sky as a nice little firework courtesy of Mother Nature, they are downplaying a cosmic event here. They are underplaying it. So we don't think that anything's up. So we don't believe anything suspicious is going on, that nothing is coming out of the sky. While at the same time, they may very well be showing our hands. Now, who among us has compared Mother Earth to something from outer space? Mother Nature tends to be confined within our own atmosphere. So that firework wasn't really courtesy of Mother Earth, unless it was a craft that came from extraterrestrial or intelligent beings living beneath our own seas, meaning that it very well may have been a gift from our Mother Earth, because its point of origin is from within our own atmosphere. Now, this is some high concept stuff here, but this is a new conspiracy theory that's been going around. We covered it on our recent shows. It's very likely that as disclosure comes up, that we may get word of an advanced undersea species known or termed by Ivan T. Sanderson, author of Invisible Residents, and the man who studied this nearly 50 years ago. He dubbed them as water babies. Now, I want to show a piece of modern pop culture that just so happens to tie right into this. For those of you who may enjoy shows like this, you may be aware that there is a humorous show on the Sci-Fi Network right now called Resident Alien, starring actor Alan Tudyk, playing an extraterrestrial who has come to Earth and is disguising himself as a human being. And I think he is a dentist, but also he solves crimes. It sounds like a lot of things are happening in this show, but one of the things are happening. Our viewer, Barefoot52, sent this into me right before the show. Steven, let's pull that screen cap on screen. There it is, on this side. So what you see there, this is a shot of a book on screen in this show. And what is on it? Well, who's to say they look kind of like they could be big fishes or big planes? It's not necessarily an image commonly associated with UFOs or extraterrestrials, but that image right there bears an almost uncanny resemblance to this image from Invisible Residents. This, an artifact found in Colombia, though very small, seemed to be a recreation of a craft that these water babies had created, because it's got the fins, it's got the aerodynamic shape of a plane, as you can see in the image right over here. But it's still modeled a little bit after a fish, which would make sense for an underwater species. Much like our planes, in some ways, resemble birds. Would not a species, an intelligent life force from underwater, design their flying craft or swimming craft to look more like fish than whatever it is they look like? Some would say the Greys, an extraterrestrial race with large heads and almond-shaped eyes. You've seen them. If you've ever seen any image of an extraterrestrial, it's usually a Grey. And some believe that that is what these intelligent life forms under the sea actually are. Alien PIs, alien PIs! I'm just responding to what's in the chat. It seems that people are going off. Steven, does that mean something?
I'm glad that you asked, Cliff. We now have BTTV emotes. So
BTTV?
It's essentially a extension on Google Chrome that you can install on your browser, and gives multiple channels on Twitch extra emotes. And so you can go in there.
One of those channels.
We are now one of those channels.
Twitch.tv/MetComedyNight, one of those channels, because we're one of the best. If you're going to be following any channel here on the Twitch, it's got to be twitch.tv/MetComedyNight, home of Strange Times Indie with Cliff McCallister.
Of course, Cliff. And I don't know if you noticed the aliens that were running and jumping
I
the
saw
way up.
they were doing a little Fortnite dance.
So you're about to see that pop up again. If you have that extension downloaded, you actually see this little guy in the chat instead of the words alien PLS, alien PLS, alien PLS. Pretty smooth.
Alien, please.
Alien, please. Well, here you go.
Well,
If you really want an
Google
alien
Chrome extension, you can say alien, please in the comments.
Alien, please.
And it'll pop up just like that. Have fun. Like I was saying, this craft from the show Alien Residence, remarkably similar to this one from Invisible Residence, an underwater swimming flying craft. Now, our source, our viewer of Alien Residence, Barefoot52, sent this in. He is in the chat tonight. Hey, there he is, sending out those UFOs. Thank you, Barefoot52, for tuning in. Thanks for this pop culture tip-off about Alien Residence. Now, he says about this show that what is pictured here is a craft that an extraterrestrial race made and used to kind of teach the Colombians, the ancient Colombians, the people of Colombia, how to fly. Now it kind of erases the undersea narrative, but I understand. This is some high concept stuff. I have to walk people through the entire premise that extraterrestrials may come from underwater if I bring it up on the show, because it's so out there that we had to devote 2 episodes to it, and I had to make a truncated version to keep people in the loop. It's not something you can casually put on your Sci-Fi Channel comedy programming. So the extraterrestrials come from space, and they create these fish ships, very similar to this. It's almost as if they're slowly and this is a fringe book. This is not a common belief. Even though Ivan T. Sanderson is one of the folks, the cryptozoologists who really pioneered looking for the abominable snowman, looking for the Yeti. This did not take off as much as the Yeti did, but yet we are still seeing it replicated here as another form. So we are on the fringes of belief out here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, and that is why, if you have ever witnessed anything you cannot explain, anything absolutely bizarre, we encourage you to call into our program and share your stories with us live on the air. This is a safe space to do so. We're talking about things on the fringes of belief here, and we want to hear about the unbelievable things you've witnessed. So Stephen, if we could go ahead and get the Zoom link in the chat, just in case anyone has any stories they'd like to share tonight. The phone lines are open.
I should be able to do that by typing in ! All in.
Interesting.
Oh, there it is.
I just saw in the chat that somebody got timed out for commenting, but I know this username handle, and I know it's a friendly person, Stephen.
Huh.
So
maybe there's a bot.
I don't know what they posted, but I do believe I'm vouching for them.
Okay, I'm going to go in and investigate, because
posted something awful in there.
So I don't restrict people from chatting multiple times. There might be a bot after hindering communication between you and Cliff. So go look this up.
Thank you, Stephen. Whenever I see our viewers, our fans in trouble, and it's a name I recognize, I will stick my neck out for you. I will get out there, and I will have us contact Twitch tech support to get you out of timeout so you can comment whatever it is you're going to say. Let's see. It was just a model. Well, yes, I believe this is in reference to, so the ship image pictured in the book, this was actually kind of a recreation, what many people believed might have been a piece of jewelry that was found back there. It was the size of something that you would put on a necklace, per se. It does not give the exact exact nature, the exact sizes in this book, but it's presumed to be pretty small. This is a recreation of one of these crafts. A tiny amulet, yes. An amulet, I believe a tiny amulet in the series and a tiny amulet in real life. So that is that. I sent Steven on a mission to go fix the thing, and when you're back, Steven, we can take this image off the screen. But I don't want to send you to do too many tasks. Oh wow, what a skilled tech.
Well, it's
man.
off the screen,
Yeah.
so I really feel like this might have been my boo-boo. Maybe I did it on my phone on accident when I went to ! Call in.
Gotcha.
I apologized on air and via the chat.
Want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers on bigfollows.com. Steven, now I feel like...
Okay, they're gonna get a timeout. I know how to do this. Get out of here.
It's like we turned off the safety line. And now we're getting all the chat messages we've never received, telling us how we can get the big follows. Well, here's the thing. I'll tell you right now, Cliff McCallister is not a shill for big follow. No, we work independently here at Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. We're not teaming up with big follow. This is the truth, unfiltered. You can only get it here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, Thursdays at 9 on twitch.tv/Met Comedy Night. Here we go. We've got Melodious Snaggle is giving us... Oh my gosh, my chat is blowing off and messages are getting deleted now. It's okay, now it's timed out. It's timed out our friend again. Here's a question from the chat that has not been deleted. Do the Wright brothers have an Etsy store? But seriously, what is that book called again? This book is Invisible Residence by Ivan T. Sanderson. You see, we did a full breakdown. I'll be sure if you go to the Met Comedy Night YouTube channel, you can find both of our episodes about this book and the contents of it, as well as the extraterrestrial life underwater theory. We do a nice 2-episode breakdown of that, and you can find that on the Met Comedy Night YouTube channel, where you can find all our old episodes, all the past calls, the past top news segments, everything. It's all there. All our past episodes can be found on the Twitch, on the Met Comedy Night YouTube channel. Melodious Snaggle, my good friend and a caller on the program, an eyewitness to the unexplained. I am sending the telepathic vibes out into the universe to try to get you...
I can view these comments and I can read them to you, Cliff.
Read them to me, thank you.
Okay, so way back in the day, there was a comment.
I just saw them get timed out again. This is absolutely wild to me.
I don't know.
I'm losing faith in stream elements, Steven.
Well, I have a story I'd like your interpretation on, Cliff. I contacted a therapist through Psychology today asking whether she had any availability. Her email response was strange.
All right.
And then, thanks, Cliff. I wanted your take on a very strange email exchange I encountered. Probably because, okay, I contacted the therapist through the popular website Psychology Today. Her response was very strange indeed. Steven is crazy with power. Barefoot 52, come on, you're about to get a timeout. My question was pedestrian. I asked if she had any availability. Her email response read thusly, I hear you. I am a true other. What do you think? Am I corresponding with a counselor or an alien, or both? And then goes on.
It sounds to me, and this might be, for those of you who do not know, and I do not mean to turn this into a cheap plug, but I Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre, am on TikTok, and I'm on the area of TikTok. I've got my For You page. It's given me the metaphysical stuff, Stephen. It's and Melodious. It is giving me Barefoot in 52. At one point in the past, you said Stephen was crazy with power. That is your list. The first sin of the program. Don't make us add another. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm on the metaphysical side of TikTok. I'm getting people who are going on these spiritual journeys, people who are contacting their spirit guides. And it sounds to me, at least given the terminology of the self-referentiation of this psychiatrist or a therapist, whichever, this professional is referring to themselves as a true other. Now, this sounds more to me less like you are interacting with an extraterrestrial, but perhaps a sort of ethereal being, an interdimensional traveler, perhaps, or somebody who has access to the astral realm. Honestly, with the what is a true other? Yes, exactly. Sorry, I read your comment in the chat as soon as I said it. A true other. I believe you may be interacting with an ethereal being. I cannot. To be honest, I believe you should. I'm giving. I think this true other may give you outrageous spiritual guidance and take you on a journey with which you would have never thought your life would go, but in a positive way, in a way in which you're realizing and living your truest, best self. If someone is presenting themselves to you as a true other in that form, they are saying, come with me. I will guide you. I will take care of you. So absolutely, I say go to therapy with this one. Even if their job is technically more to listen than to give you guidance. Sounds like a pretty groovy ride. A pretty groovy ride towards mental health. Something that we cannot achieve here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, but we do think we like to help a little bit. Oh, I hope she's a cephalopod. This could very well be. Perhaps you are stepping into an OA situation, which if you have not seen the OA, I feel like you might enjoy it as a program, knowing who you are, Melodious. But you're going to find a big, powerful cephalopod, capable of traveling beyond worlds. Incredible stuff, incredible things are happening. Strange things are happening. True others are out there, posing as therapists, or perhaps not posing. They could very well have a degree and still be a true other. So that is stuff you've got to check out. Like I've been saying, we take calls on the show, and before we got into the mix-up with the chat, I was saying if we could get the Zoom link in there. I see it in there a little bit. Oh, there, it's back again. Perfect. Stephen, you are so on the ball. You know all the things to do. And I'm reminded, looking at the chat, of a shortcut. If you've got a story to share, perhaps you are watching the show now and you don't have a story to share with the Czar of the Bizarre tonight. That's okay. Strange things happen every week in this world. Strange things happen every day in this world. But we only broadcast this show once a week. And if you come on and you're like, I've really got a story that I need to share, here's a little shortcut. Here's a little cheat code. If you type !Colin, all one word, !Colin in the chat, the stream elements which so disastrously attacked our friend earlier will provide the Zoom link for you right there. So you can call in and share your story live on the air on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister.
It's over there in the chat if you're watching on a laptop. It's down there in the chat if you're watching on a phone. And it was Stream Elements, the bot, moderating the chat, calling you out for having more than a sentence to say. It was like,
that was the rule. You wrote too much?
For one reason or another, and I don't remember clicking that setting on. Stream Elements just wanted to take over after I started using its tools to do these cool, post the link in the chat. We really got to psychoanalyze these robots sometimes.
You know, Stephen, I think if you ask me, this sounds like the work of Big Follow.
Oh yeah?
This is Big Follow trying to silence us and trying to silence our followers. Trying to prevent us from getting the truth out by saying, if you've got a message that's too long, you can't get it out there. You got to have the short things. You got to have the tweets. You must feed the algorithm. It's Big Follow.
Yeah, you know.
We want to hear your stories here. We don't care how long they are. We've devoted
it's the first time our stream
one person's story before. So you can always call in. Stream Elements needs mediation from a true other. You bet that's true.
It's the first time we had a Big Follow comment in one of our streams that I can remember. I've seen it before, but
and Stream Elements
might be onto something.
That robot let us down, all while trying to keep our friends silent.
This is what happens in iRobots.
The boys take over the world. Well, we can't let the boys take over the world. The boys have taken over the world. The boys have been in control of the world for far too long, if you ask me. And honestly, it's been disastrous. I mean, we are on a galactic peacekeeping mission here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. But for peace to be kept, we've got to restore peace to begin with, and that means ending all wars. A key goal of our program here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. All right, now here's the thing. If you've got something you want to tell us about that might be that sure, maybe it is a little long for the comments. Maybe it's longer than 2 to 4 sentences. It's something you've got to write out, but you don't feel comfortable calling in and sharing it on the air. Well, one, if you call in, you don't have to show yourself on screen. We've got it set up in a way where you can keep your visual anonymity when you call in and share your unexplained stories on the program. So, first of all, there's that line of protection for you, the viewer, because we care about keeping you safe and keeping your strange stories safe and held in a respectful space right here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. So we've got that layer of protection, but if it's something you want to write out, you don't even want to have your voice be heard, you can send us an email at strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. Again, that's strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. Much like the title of our show, Strange Times Indeed, but this time with the word tips. You can remember that because it's our anonymous tip line. So go ahead, send us those emails there. If you've got a story you'd like to share that you don't feel comfortable calling in and talking about, we'd love to hear from you. Here we go. We've got another chat coming in. I went hiking today and saw my old car that I had sold a while ago in the parking lot. Small world. Or time felt quite thin. And I was legitimately concerned that I was going to run into my past self. Wild. Now that is a strange story indeed right there in the chat. This is not an uncommon thing. This is, in some ways, could very well be the plot of Twin Peaks Season 3. You're finding yourself in a space where you are experiencing liminal time. The fabrics are a little slower. Time is moving a little differently. You know, it's something that Ivan T. Sanderson talks about in this very book, Time Anomalies. And it's possible that in that time that you are going through that parking lot, and you witnessed your old car. Perhaps your old car didn't travel that far at all, and that your old car is sitting there at some date in the past, and you have briefly wandered backwards in time. Now, obviously, you got your way back. Sometimes time is strange like that. Sometimes it'll pull you back in and then shoot you right back into the present so quickly that you don't even realize that time has changed at all. But Canby, I would like to say, not only should you be spooked, but I'd at the very least be on the lookout for your doppelganger. If something like this is going on, if the time stream has rifted, your doppelganger could be out there causing trouble. And you're going to have to defeat it in Mortal Kombat. So keep an eye out. Our friend Colin has a short story. Colin, would you like to share that? We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Would you like to share that when we return from the break? We can give you the Zoom link, and you'll call in after the commercial. If you think you'll still be around. But if you've got to tell it now, we'll do it now. Let's do it now. Here we go. All right. This is our friend, Colin. Connecting to audio. Here we are. Oh, let me get my headphones in. There we go.
Hey, hello.
Colin, can we bring you on screen?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you're coming on, Colin.
Whoa, I like that reverb on your voice.
Stop. Steven is a high-tech man. We've sent him on so many missions today. Look at that pup.
That's
Colin,
Bonnie.
This is Bonnie. Bonnie, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, she's 2 years old. She's a Boston Terrier. She has an eye patch, just like Anne Bonnie the pirate.
Wow.
That's how she got her name.
So is she just not wearing her eye patch right now?
This is her eye patch. See, she's got one like.
Oh, she's got the spotted eye patch. I got you.
Yeah. The story isn't about Bonnie that I have today, though. This is about something crazy.
That's all right. We love to see pets on the program. Our own intern, Spangler, is curled up on the floor on the other side of our computer right now.
Is she making coffee?
Just sleeping on the floor.
Oh, that's nice. That's what this dog does. So listen, I have a lot of stories. A lot of weird things have happened to me in my life, but I guess I don't remember them until I watch this show. But I had this one time, my friend Ryan and I, this is a short story, but we were at my parents' house. They live in Thurmont, Maryland.
Okay.
We were in the woods and we heard what sounded like a car backing out real fast. And it was like 3 a.m. And it sounded like we were just up being 19. You know, I was home for college break and I was like, I don't know, like drinking a beer in the backyard or something bad.
When you're college age, who goes to sleep before 3 a.m.?
Exactly. I know. I was home for break though, or something. But then it sounded like someone peeled out in my neighbor's yard.
Right.
And I looked to see what was going on, but I couldn't see anything. And then I saw like what looked like 10 or 15 flashlights turn on in the woods, like in my general direction. And they were like sprawled out across like an acre of land. Like I'm not making this up. So my friend's like, what is going on right now? And then all the lights turned off at once. And then it sounded like something like the sound of a bowling ball, like the size of a bowling ball, like dropping out of the ceiling and like hitting the ground. My kid just walked in. She heard the story.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So do you would you say that they were flashlight lights, or do you think this was coming from like a centralized device or something?
Well, it wasn't like, that's the thing is, it was like, I don't know. At the time I was playing that game Ghost Recon for Xbox Original. Like it was like my favorite game. And there was a lot of like scenes where you would all like turn lights on in the woods. So I thought it was some kind of like, you know, like the government was there to close me in.
Right. They said Colin's home for a break.
But I don't know what that sound was of something falling through the wood. And then when it fell, the lights went off. And then I heard that like kind of burnout sound again.
Right.
And then my neighbors were like suddenly turning their lights on to see what was going on. So I just went inside and I told my dad, and he acted like I was like, you were drinking a beer in the yard or something, you know? But he was like, what are you waking me up for? But that's my story. That's a weird thing that happened to me that I still can't explain to this day.
And you said it sounded like this bowling ball crashed down into the earth, but you could not find or see anywhere where something crashed. So just the sound on its own. Interesting.
So yeah, like all these lights came on. So that was what was weird, is I thought there was just a lot of people standing in my parents' like woods. And it was like all the lights off, then sound of the drop, and that was it. And it was like you could hear it. Like it sounded like a big limb broke or something, kind of. But it was like the size of a ball, like it was smaller. Like if it hit me in the head, I would be hurt, but I would probably be alive. You know what I mean? Like it was probably, yeah. So anyway,
I wonder if it's not something supernatural. In Thurmont, there is a giant underground facility in that mountain up there. Yeah.
Near it's a Raven Ridge or Raven Rock Road, and it's actually pretty close to Camp David too. And you can kind of see like where it is if you go toward. It's kind of like between Smithsburg, Thurmont.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard of somebody. I know of somebody who said she was like a cosmetologist, and her husband was a contractor, and he got to like go beyond the first gate. And
oh wow!
No way! What was that like? And she's
yeah.
like, she said it was just like a compound, like a big compound, like
it's a big underground facility.
Well, maybe someone was like looking out, trying to figure out what I was doing at 3 a.m. You know,
right?
Like they were trying to like go from point A to point B, or like move the president or something. It was Obama at the time.
A secret underground move through Thurmont.
I mean, if there was a really loud diversion in the middle of the woods in Thurmont, though, like I feel like I feel like 80% of the people near where my parents live probably have a weapon. You know, like that's what I worry about. You know what I mean? So I'd be like, I wouldn't want to mess with that. I'd be like, no way. Like they don't.
Right. Especially when it's 3 o'clock in the morning, it's really a pretty easy time to just discreetly move somebody.
I mean, it woke up my neighbors. It woke up everybody. So I don't know. What could it be? What fell out of the sky?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, my friend was so scared, like he wouldn't drive home.
Oh,
he
wow.
was so scared. He was like, because we were just standing outside packing his car up because he was leaving. And he's like, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. And my dad was like furious at us. He was like in his underwear, like, listen, guys, he like woke up at 3 a.m. to like yell at us because we were making too much noise.
He was like, you've got to go home. You've got to stop hanging out. You've caused a cosmic event to occur in our yard.
Yeah, I know. I actually.
Here's what's interesting.
Yes, Stephen, you've got a thought?
So it seems like there might have been mild investigation to kind of like look and see what that might have been, right? And if it was something that fell from the sky that was a stationary object, then I think it might be more likely that someone finds what was that. But if this was an object that fell from the sky that could move, it could have been hidden.
Started.
Yeah.
Or something sounds terrifying.
Or even something that came from the sky that they were expecting.
Like you mean like they ordered an Amazon package and like they were dropping off the package like by drone?
Right, but if that thing is like extraterrestrial craft or something from
That's what I'm
space,
saying. Like,
yeah.
Like what if the Amazon cloud was actually like a big ship in space, kind of like in every Marvel movie, how there's like a hovering like ship just like 10 feet above Earth at all times, and it's
shooting gifts down from a cannon.
Yeah. It's like that's what the true cloud is.
Right. At the very end, Jeff Bezos is just going to be up there with a little joystick, aiming at people's heads, firing it off while he's there from the safety of space, and the Earth is on fire. Well, and he's like, I've outlasted them all, and I will shoot them with packages in their final moments. A truly despicable man, Jeff Bezos.
He doesn't own it anymore, though, right? He stepped down, or he probably.
He's got enough money to do that tomorrow if he wanted.
I know. And didn't Jeff Bezos' like friend marry his ex-wife, and he's like a science teacher or something?
I don't know. I didn't know that, but good for that friend.
I know.
That's the best case scenario for the beginning of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Let's just say that's the best friend FU scenario. It's
yeah.
Another thing I was going to say was I was going to have a friend call in tonight, but he said he wasn't feeling well and he's going to try another time. Yes. And he told me this really cool story about being a baby, and his mom saw a ship land in front of Lake Linganore, and she fell asleep for 8 hours holding him and woke up 8 hours later and walked away.
Missing time.
So he knows more about that story. That's all I know about it. But I was like, please call in tonight. And he was like, I can't, I don't feel good. So
Well, to that friend, if you're not feeling well and you're watching tonight, let us know if you've got a schedule to work with or whatever. You can always hit us up on the email, and we can schedule the interview or whatever. And we'd love to talk to you live on the air at some point when you're feeling well. Feel better, unnamed friend.
Yeah, I think he's okay.
It's interesting though.
Where you at, Steven? I hear you.
this is the second time that time being thin has kind of like been brought up today.
Mm-hmm.
The same episode, so it's interesting that
The fabric of our reality could very well be falling apart. On the very first episode of this show back in May, we covered an incident where they found particles from in the North Pole that seemed to indicate an alternate universe where time moved backwards.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the time has been falling apart for at least a year.
I don't understand. Like, how did they? It's theoretical.
They found these particles that are not thin enough to have traveled through the Earth and come out on the other end.
Yeah. Okay.
And judging by other particles that they have found in that area, they don't bounce off the ice, but just in like one spot, they were finding them coming up in a way that would indicate like the reverse of them going down, as if time were moving backwards.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like, sometimes I think it's just the increase in information makes us understand these things, but then I'm like, no, all of this is happening now. Like, we're just experiencing all at once. That's the other side of me. I don't know. I don't know. What a time. What a time to be alive.
There are folks who are on cosmic TikTok who do feel that we are in the middle of a plane shifting that will soon enable us to see the fifth dimension. So, who knows?
Now that we're brainstorming on time specifically, I had a theory once. I actually made it into a song lyric when I had written a song back in the day. But like, without symmetry, could time exist? Or no, in imperfect symmetry, could time exist? Because if things are perfectly symmetrical, then time wouldn't have a direction to go off towards.
They're just kind of
right,
like the
and therefore,
Matthew McConaughey movie.
If there's then that kind of implies that time can move in multiple directions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, what was that Matthew McConaughey Interstellar?
Yeah. So one that I have not seen, but I don't know this movie. That it involves complicated space-time.
I might have seen this movie actually.
Yeah, it's like.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Did I see this movie?
I know that I can understand a dream within a dream. That's not difficult for me to get. But when we start messing with the fabric of space and time to move around in a way that's supposed to be accurate, I get way lost. That blows my brain out of the water.
Here's like the quick version of it. So
yes, give us the plot of Interstellar tonight.
So his daughter is sitting in her room one day and she's starting to notice that like sawdust is falling in the middle of the room and she doesn't understand why the sawdust is falling, but it's landing in this very specific pattern in her room. Meanwhile, her dad kind of discovers NASA, which hasn't existed in years. It's like 30, 40 years in the future or something like that. It hasn't existed. NASA hasn't existed in years, but he discovers like a private NASA compound because he follows this drone that happens to land to where the compound is, and like Michael Caine or something is one of the astronauts. He's like, hello there. He's like, oh, I know your work, and he's like, you're a good man. You're gonna be a great pilot. So he's like, I need you to go on this mission, and they all train him like all these people. I feel like Michael Caine is. He's probably not even in the movie, but they like train him. They train Matthew McConaughey to be this like astronaut and go on this crazy mission where he needs to go beyond Saturn and go through time to go on this planet that exists on like through a black hole, and that's where Matt Damon is. And like when he meets Matt Damon, like Matt Damon's there and he's expecting him to be like dead, but like Matt Damon's been like living there for like 100 years or something because time's all been messed up in the black hole. And Matt Damon's like, you gotta get out of here, and he like tries to kill Matthew McConaughey, and he takes off, makes his way back through the black hole, and he comes home and like he gets stuck in the fifth dimension, and everything's like parallel in the fifth dimension. It's like all these lines around him, everything's perfectly parallel, and time doesn't exist. So he's stuck still, like floating, like the whole time. And he like tries to reach and like grab things and make things happen, and he can see his whole life around him, but he can't interact with it because he's stuck in time. And he's like reaching like into one of these cells, and he can see his daughter when she was a little girl sitting in the room, and he's pushing on the wall, and it's moving the sawdust off the wall, and it's falling down in her room, and he can see himself in there, and he's like, oh my God, that's me. So he like somehow makes his way out of the fifth dimension by believing hard enough or something like that. And then he ends up back in his rocket ship, takes off, makes it to Earth. It's like 75 years later. Everyone he loves is dead, except for his daughter. She's an old woman, and he like goes to her deathbed, and he's like, I love you so much. And she's like, oh, Dad, like, where have you been? I'm so glad I got to see you before I died. And he's like, what are you gonna do with the rest of your life? He's like, and it's like kind of like one of those scenes, like he puts on his sunglasses and hops in his red convertible and like takes off. Like he's like, whatever the fuck I want. And he like puts on his glasses and like takes off in his spaceship. And it was so weird. I still don't understand what it was about, but there was that scene in it where it's like all parallel and he can't escape. But like he sees his daughter as a child and he like tries to reach her and the sawdust falls through the ceiling and it like the cycle begins. So like the paranormal stuff that's happening is just you trying to reach yourself.
You trapped in the other dimension.
Yeah, that's it. That's the story.
Maybe that's what it was in the woods that night, Colin.
Yeah.
Somehow you're out there.
Oh my God.
Peeling off on a motorcycle.
I've always been really afraid of that specific part of my parents' house because there's always copperheads back there.
And now,
oh my God! And I have dreams. I have dreams about copperheads all the time.
See, this is all interdimensional Colin. You're sending yourself messages about this space.
I needed to call you tonight because I've just been skipping, doctor's appointments, and I'm like, I need someone to talk to me about some stuff. We talked about therapy in the comments for a while, and I was like, interesting. And then I was like, I should talk about Interstellar and make myself feel better.
Yeah,
it worked.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, Colin. We're always here to We're always here to offer a safe space for people to share their strange stories and also to just kind of work out what they're going through.
That was great. That was so much fun. I worked out this whole thing. Steven's problems about the universe being parallel became mine, and I was like, I need to face this.
And we've solved the problem of what happened that night, it sounds like. It was you all along.
The movie. I don't understand what I was talking about, but I swear to you, that's the entire movie of Interstellar. And if you watch it, you're going to be like, wow, he was pretty right about whatever that was.
I mean, that
just before you go here too, I want to point out the soundproofing that is so nicely placed in the ceiling in random spots of your home there. Yes, you can keep this call secure between you and Cliff. That's a good move.
Yeah, that's right. Gonna prevent those folks in the underground facility at Thurmont from hearing this broadcast.
That's right. That's right. Those are the people I was worried about. I put aluminum foil on my roof.
All right. Well, Colin, anything else you'd like to talk about tonight?
I don't know. That was a good time. I had a blast.
Well, thank you so much for calling in.
That was so much fun. I didn't expect that, but that was a blast. I'll do this again in like 2 months, and you're not even gonna see it coming. It's gonna
We'll be right
out
here
of this world. All right, I love you guys.
Hey, we love you. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, let's say over and out.
Over and out, Colin. All right. Well, we've got another caller sitting in the chat. Way to go. We've got a 2-call night happening, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to admit this person. Hopefully they didn't want to talk to Colin instead of me. We've got another person calling in, so here we go. Connecting to audio. Are you there, Dangermaus? We're connecting to audio still. Technology, what a concept.
Hello.
Hello, Dangermaus. How are you tonight?
I'm good.
I'm I know your camera's off. I'm just refilling my cup here. So I've got to hydrate over the course of this program. I didn't want you to just hear the sound and think I was peeing on the call. Dangermaus, what brings you to the program tonight?
Yeah, I just had a ghost story that I wanted to share with you.
Perfect. We'd love to hear it.
Okay. Back several years ago now, probably like 17, 18 years ago, I bought my first house. Mm-hmm. And during the closing, it was an older lady that owned the house. She was well into her 70s, and her daughter was at the closing, and she was not available to be there. But when we first moved into the house, the first day, the older lady came by and
Mm-hmm.
started talking to us and told us about the house and told us about her husband, Fred. And she talked about him at length. And then she had mentioned that he had died in the house. And, I gave her my condolences. And, it's not very strange. I didn't think anything weird about it or anything.
Sure.
But and she was a very nice lady, but it was a 2-story house and she just couldn't use it anymore. So
Of course.
come to find out, well, it was probably like a couple weeks later. We had I kind of have to describe the house for you to understand the story.
Go right ahead.
There was a sunroom with reflective glass, but they had built a garage onto that. So I'm in the garage inside of it in a storage room that someone had been using as a tool room, and I was putting some stuff up. It was 3 a.m.
Okay.
And if you had the door open, you could see into the house. So my family's all asleep. I've got the door open, but once you go to the glass part, it's reflective, like I said, so you can't see. So 3 a.m, I'm moving some stuff around, and something catches my eye, and I see a tall, older man in a blue shirt. It was like a blue button-up work shirt and blue jeans, and he's not looking at me, and he crosses from one side of the door frame to the other. Now, it's 3 a.m. My brain is not thinking ghost. My brain is thinking someone has just broken into my house. So I
Right. There's a
grabbed,
tall working class man in your home.
right, exactly. And I was like, it was weird because of an older guy, but it just, my brain just kind of went off the rails. So I grabbed an aluminum bat that I had and ran in, and he wasn't there. So I'm going all through the house. I checked the front door, checked all the windows, checked upstairs, downstairs, nothing. So I thought, oh my God, he must have ran out the front door as I was upstairs. He must have been hiding somewhere. So I run out the front door, and then there's no one. I mean, this is in the space of like 2.5 minutes. So I'm like thinking to myself, that's really strange. And then I thought, Fred, it has to be Fred, because it sort of clicked in my head. And so I went back in, I shut everything down, closed everything, and never saw him again. But I figure, and he was so real. It wasn't like a transparent ghost or, like a black mass or anything like that. This guy was solid. I mean, just absolutely real. And I figure he was just letting me know that he was okay with us living in his house. So it was very strange. But
just being like, I exist.
yeah,
You're okay, but
yeah,
be aware, I am
yep,
here.
yeah. It was very off-putting for a while, and then in that same house, you could see it was a townhouse, so you could see from the back door to the front door all the way through the house. And when we would park in the garage, my wife and I would come into the house, and there was a staircase that went up, and you could see the banister just starting out in front of the door. And I would always come in and think I see someone poking their head around and then running back up in a flash. I mean, just quicker than anyone could move. And I thought it was like a trick of the light or something like that. So I close the curtains in the front, and then probably 3 months after living there, I hadn't told anyone about this. And my wife and I are sitting at the breakfast table one morning, and I turned to her and I'm like, something weird keeps happening all the time. And I didn't want to mention it because I thought it was just me. But I was like, I told her what happened, and she told me the exact same thing was happening to her every time she came into the house. It was weird. And our kids slept upstairs. And so, like, usually, like on a regular basis, one of my sons would wake up crying and come downstairs. And years later, I'm thinking to myself, he was probably too young to kind of articulate what was going on. But I'm wondering, because it kind of felt like a kid, that it was a small person that I kept seeing. And it
Right.
felt like,
The entity didn't feel like Fred. It was a different
no,
energy.
yeah, it felt completely different. It was almost like mischievous, or just curious, and I'm thinking it tried to play with my kids at night. Maybe it was weird,
Right. Wow.
but yeah, the house was pretty strange. But I never got like a bad feeling in the house or anything like that.
And that's understandable. That not all spirits are malevolent entities.
Right, right, yeah. Um, Yeah, but that was just a strange house in general. But I've been watching your show, and I kind of wanted to share with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you
But
so much for calling. We love when people share these stories. It's
Yes, that's important. It's important to share these stories. Appreciate you calling in.
yeah, no problem. Yep.
Danger Mouse. Anything you'd like to talk about before we let you go?
Oh man, I don't know. I just I guess ghosts in general. I mean, you see, I think a lot of the TV shows you see nowadays have done a real disservice to the idea that ghosts are real, and it kind of like, all these people are genuinely seeking evidence, but it's almost like you can't convince anyone, because in this day and age you can fake anything on the internet or TV.
Yes.
And so I feel like it's harder and harder to actually convince a skeptic unless they've actually experienced something, themselves anyway. But it is good to get these stories out so people can hear and not be so able to share their stories too, because they hear someone with similar experiences.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely something we believe in doing on the program here, is making it more commonplace for people to share these experiences and not feel like they're going to be treated like a weirdo for having experienced something they can't explain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So Danger Mouse, you're one of the heroes tonight, calling in and sharing your story.
Cool.
Well, we'll go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for sharing your eyewitness of the unexplained on the show tonight.
Thank you, Cliff.
Have a wonderful night, my friend.
You too.
And look at that, we got some applause for Danger Mouse right there in the chat.
Did that because
did that, Stephen. What a sweetheart you are.
I did that, and what he was saying was so important. I'm so glad it came from one of our callers. And I actually, for one reason or another, I didn't do this command earlier to count our callers.
Oh yes,
so
we've got Colin, a new thing that's been counting in our callers. So Colin, you're caller number 3, and Danger Mouse, you're caller number 4.
Gotta wait another minute to put the caller number 4 in.
This number is cosmically off because we started doing this. This is caller number 4 since February. We've been doing this show for a whole year now, but I do not know exactly how many people called. That is a poor organizing move on our producer Kevin Cole's part. We have given him a hard time for that, but eventually that call number will be accurate, and callers 2, 3, 4 will be sure to update you and let you know. Caller number 1 will also let you know what number you eventually were when we are taken to task for getting people the right number of callers they were in the show. But thank you so much for calling in, Colin. Thank you so much for calling in, Danger Mouse. This is what we do the program for, to hear people's stories of the unexplained. And as we bring things to a close tonight, I would be remiss if we did not say this program right here is dedicated to the Maryland Ensemble Theater, because they're the only theater with the guts to put us on the air. Stephen, I know we normally do our break, but I think we're going to roll the ad at the end after I say goodbye. Just so you know where we're headed.
That works for me.
Perfect. At the Maryland Ensemble Theater, you can find things like the Comedy Pigs, Strange Times Indeed, Oh Crit, the D&D Improv Show, Over the Hump, our own Steven's occasional Wednesday show. And you can find that here on twitch.tv/MetComedyNight. You can also find more theatrical productions from the Maryland Ensemble Theater at marylandensemble.org. We've got a new main stage production coming out, Something Brilliant, The Rise and Fall of the Illumination Cult. This documentary examines the Illumination cult from 2007 that came into Frederick, Maryland. And this is an expansion of that story. It was a hot piece at the theater then, and now it's a film featuring a handsome devil who you may recognize when we roll the ad. not like featuring, certainly not a title role, but let's just say some folks were consulted for their expertise for this motion picture event. So we'll be closing out. We'll be rolling that when we get right out into the end. I want to take one moment, of course, before we roll that, before we say goodnight, to thank Dangermaus again. Thank you, Colin, for calling in. Thank you, Stephen, for running tech for our show. Thank you, everybody who is clapping right now, who is applauding, who is being enlightened in the chat tonight. It is so good to have folks calling in and tuning in and commenting, enjoying the program with us every Thursday at 9 right here on twitch.tv/metcomedynight. Thank you to our viewers and everyone involved. For Strange Times Indeed, I'm Cliff McCallister. Stay strange, terrestrials.
It's been 3 days since the raid on this warehouse by the ATF, and the entire Illumination religious group has dispersed.
The group had congregated for their weekly spaghetti dinner and was just about to raise a glass for their traditional toast when officials stormed the event searching for illegal drugs.
Everybody was so kind to me and so friendly, and I just felt like I was home.
The environment was just intoxicating.
What is on the fringes of beliefs? What are people discovering?
Find your light on Tuesday night.
They had me at spaghetti.
That's when I knew this is a tribe I can get down with.
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
That I was looking for a human connection.
And so that pulled more people in. It's a very inclusive atmosphere because once you're in, you are brilliant too.
Charge it up! Charge it!
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
They have a lot of control over you. You lose contact with your friends. Then after a while, you think that you need to be in this place.
I started seeing them also as people and not eccentric personalities. And once I did, it was really disappointing.
So my spidey senses were sensing that it was kind of weird.
I mean, I don't even know if, and all of them know that they were even associated with a cult.
I just assumed it was some sort of like church creepy Jesus kind of a thing, you know?
I'm not a huge proponent of this satanic alien orgy thing going on every Tuesday night.
You are not going to believe this.
Here's just the circle that worked out. This is the circle that don't, not, but here I am today.
Chanting, power up, power up, power up.
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
I didn't know they were in a cult. I thought they were just dicks.